We wanted to start off with our sandwich lease purchases. And so what that simply means is it's a way in which you can buy real estate, take control of a real estate without actual ownership. And we'll walk you through two deals this morning here with Brian and Russell. And there's going to be a ton of nuances here. So the way we'll format this is we're going to bring up Russell first. We're going to walk through a sandwich deal that he has. Then we're going to take a pause and we're going to answer the questions very specific to that deal. Then we'll move on to Brian's. So we'll compartmentalize these. That way we don't get lost in the deals and we don't get sidetracked. Be very specific to that deal. And that way everyone can get all the nuances associated with it.
Let's define a little bit too, Zach. Again, I'm thinking of the new people. So sandwich lease, except for Texas, here's what you're going to do. You're going to type a property with the seller on a lease purchase contract. We provide that in module 12. It's all pre-done for you. You're then going to locate a buyer. That's in, I think it's mod, it's new. I think it's mod 9 now. And Nick is our buyer specialist who helps you with that, my son, Nick. So that's going to be on a rent-to-own agreement. The sandwiches, you're in the middle. You're not providing a service as a realtor. You're an investor and you're securing your equitable interest by way of a clouding the title with a notice of option or a memorandum of real estate. That's it. The beauty of the lease purchase, the sandwich lease, is that it's a $10 deposit written in. All that money Brian generated, he did all sandwich leases. He's now realizing he can expand that, but $10 per deal created that 800-something thousand for him. Okay, pretty cool.
Yeah, we'll dive into this and then we'll show you one example of an assign out deal, which we'll talk about that with Russell here in the next hour as well. And those are great deals to start your creative financing business or your terms business. We'll use those interchangeably as we go through today. So let's start with El Rusty.
What's up, people?
So this is what you do when you call out of work.
Yes.
See, chooses to use his time wisely. Love it. Brian, can we toss up? Perfect. So this is what we're going to be using for the deal structure boards. And everyone see it okay? Give me a thumbs up if you can.
Thumbs up.
Love it. Okay. So we got a sandwich lease deal here. Tell us, give us a little background. Tell us about the seller. You know, we'll dive into the source, but tell us what their challenge was and why you were able to structure this deal.
Yeah, so this was an expired listing. I don't know if you want to describe what an expired is. It's basically a house that was on the market at some point and fell off for whatever reason. For this one was, we were smack dab in the middle of COVID, and she is a doctor in Loma Linda, and she took it off the market because she just did not want people just coming through the house. She didn't want people, it was just, you know, COVID was rampant at that time. So she just took it off the market just because she's just afraid of people coming through the house. And her being a doctor, she's very concerned about that.
Okay, awesome. So you went ahead and you bought it for, what was the term?
36
How long
months.
of a time?
36.
All right. What was the what was the debt on the property when you bought it?
420,000.
I'll explain just a minute here. And then what was the equity in the house?
415,000.
I can hit it.
Yeah, hit it.
Okay, so for those of you again that are new and maybe a review for some, we don't talk sale price to a seller when we talk about a lease purchase. All we care about is what's owed, in this case 420, and what's the equity that we're promising you. Why is that? Because we're going to promise them the payoff of the mortgage at the end of this term, as you'll see, and the 415 locked in, because that 420 is not going to be 420 at the end. So you say to them, the sale price, this is built into your agreements. The sale price equals the payoff of the balance of the mortgage listed right there and 415,000. So there's no sale price. That's the sale price.
It's all about creating that equity in the property, and we'll show you how in this principal pay down when we get down to number 3, creating equity in the property without taking ownership. It's really cool how you can do this. This is the game changer. All right. What'd you end up selling it for?
Well, let me preface this by this is how important it is to deal with your coach and get with your coach first before you try to do this on your own. I sold it for $860. Zach,
Russ, how much did you put down in your lease purchase agreement, please?
$10.
Okay, just making sure, $1 million house almost.
Did she cash the $10 check? I'm just curious.
I have no clue.
Because I don't think, I know it's built into our agreement, but I don't think I've ever written a $10 check.
Mm-mm.
I've never even had
We
anybody
wrote,
ask me about it.
we
But
wrote a
Brian-
$100 check once for a $3.2 million home. Remember that?
Yeah.
$100 check.
Love it. All right. Buyer, tell us about the buyer.
The buyer is a self-employed. They were commuting almost like Mike was, about an hour, hour and a half each day. They were contractors, they're builders. So they were renting in the LA area. Their rent was 10 grand a month.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal. So family with 4 boys. They're, I think they're all under 10. When I met them, they're all like coming over and giving me hugs, and it's pretty cool family, pretty cool atmosphere with the buyers. But yeah, they were self-employed, and I guess we'll talk more about the difference between some of the buyers that we get. They're either self-employed or they have some credit issues, but they didn't have any credit issues. They have the money, obviously 10 grand a month in rent. They wanted to get closer to their work.
So their challenge was what the banks call seasoning, Russ. They needed time as self-employed.
Mhm.
Okay. Good for everybody to know. That's what we mentioned earlier with Heidi.
All right. Non-refundable deposit from your buyer. So payday one, non-refundable deposit that you collected.
Yeah, so it's a smaller deposit than we typically get. So the original deposit was 24K, but we scheduled 60K throughout the term.
Okay, this is cool for sort of your spreadsheet, predicting and projecting your income. Here's why I say that. Nick is real good at teaching you this, and you'll all get really good at this, but there's certain questions you'll ask to get that additional 60 over time. For example, what do you usually get for a tax return? So we can allocate some of that every February. Are there any pay raises? We had a state trooper who had retroactive pay raises. We worked that into the plan. You'll develop a plan to get them more vested in the home and improve your cash flow dramatically, and win-win, set them up to get a better loan at the end because they've got more down. This is all a win-win. Russ, was this your first sandwich? I'm curious.
Yeah.
First sandwich, not first. Okay.
And then, by the way, their last installment is next month. And so
Nice.
they'll be done. So that the total, including their first month's rent, we'll get in, I guess, their first month rent.
You want to explain
pay
first
one
month?
is-
That's a bonus.
What was the first month's rent?
3,200.
Okay.
So
Well,
87.
You're helping them save, was it $6,800 a month?
Exactly.
You must be a hero. Yeah, so really interesting when it comes to this, right? This was kind of derived from a brainstorm that we were having with another friend of ours that does real estate deals similar to us. And he said, "Oh, do you want to help increase your pay on your overall deal? Hey, why don't you collect first month's rent on top of it?" So look at this, $3,000. I mean, I know you're in Southern California, but $3,200 isn't a high amount of rent compared to the rest of the country as well. So this could be for everyone. An extra $3,000 if you're doing a deal a month. Think about how much that hits the revenue for you and your business over the course of a year. It's more than most people's salary in the United States if you collected first month's rent on a deal a month.
And let's say how too, Zach, because it probably like how does that compute? Why? Okay, so built into your agreement, Russ hands the seller the agreement, and very rarely do we get a question on this, but I'll tell you how to answer it if we do. And in the agreement, it says we're going to start paying your mortgage because we now have our buyer, no risk. We have our buyer, we'll pay the mortgage, but we're going to start that 30 days after occupancy. So if our tenant buyer takes occupancy on June 1, we're going to pay your mortgage starting July 1. Now, if they ask why, you say, I actually almost got confused when they ask why, because they say, well, wait a minute, your June 1 payment when we started possession is for the month of May. Mortgages are paid in arrears for the most part. So you're going to pay your June 1 mortgage, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. You live there during May. we're gonna pick it up in July 1, because we have a buyer going in there. This is how it works when you have a mortgage. And very few times will you have to give up that free money that you just create out of thin air. And that's what the beauty is about being around the community. You get ideas like this that pop up to maximize these things.
Is that seven? So $36,000. I just need to do the math out for you, everyone. If you're doing 2 deals a month, it's an extra $72,000 a year.
Just on that.
Just on first month's rent. Let me dive a little bit further into that too. We're not landlords. When we go ahead and we structure our lease purchase agreement with the seller, we take on all the responsibility. That's the way it's structured. When we then sell the property to a tenant buyer on a lease purchase agreement, we then move all the responsibilities from us to the buyer. So now that first month's rent is just pure cash flow. Like that's just money directly into, as we like to call it, Hip National Bank. That is your money. Doesn't have to be anywhere else. Okay.
So total is
This is fun.
87,200.
You can just go down the rabbit hole.
We're fine.
We haven't even we haven't finished payday 1 yet.
Did you have a
Okay.
contingency on that
Contingency for,
for getting a buyer in?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
you didn't have to pay anything until you had a buyer?
We don't pay
correct.
the $10, you mean?
Yeah, that's it? Okay, cool.
So here's the deal with that, guys. If you're brand new, especially, we're gonna help you with the deals, but the contract's built, all 3 of our contracts, or 4, are built to have a buyer first. Are there exceptions to this? Sure. Quick example, but there's probably 50. A particular individual, one of our students, was panicking during the marketing process. The truth came out that actually he was about to start not being able to pay. And so he said, I know I told you could have 90 days or 120 days, but I can't pay the next payment. So what we said was, luckily he had equity in the house. There was like maybe 30 grand in the back end for him. And what we said was, we'll pay the payment on a definitive date. We will start. But for that, instead of 30, we're going to give you, I think we took 15 grand off. That was Don's deal. 15,000 because they wanted debt relief. So did we break the mold there and say, we'll pay on this date forward? We got it. Yes. But we already had a sense, or we wouldn't have taken the property, that we could sell it. So there are exceptions to that, but it's only if you can pick up free equity. We have a closing this week with Morris, this week. And the gentleman said, I can't pay my May 31 payment a couple days ago. We said, we'll pay it, but we're going to take 2 times that off the cash out. He said, okay. So there's all kinds of ways to pick up extra payday 4s and 5s and go on and on with those.
Yeah. So when a seller motivation is debt relief, then yes, you're gonna have to make a decision if you want to commit to the deal or not. And you just have to make it advantageous for you to commit to the deal. Make sure it's a really good deal. And of course, I shouldn't say of course, those of you that end up joining our community, we have a sister company called Wicked Smart Finance that can help provide down payments, that type of debt relief. So I'll be for another day or another conversation. Excellent. All right, we'll keep going through this deal. Was the monthly payment that you have to pay to the seller's mortgage?
And by the way, if you have questions, guys, use your raise hand and we'll get to you so we can do it in sections.
Yep.
2,531.
2,531. Okay. We always make our payments, especially those that have a mortgage on them. We're making the payments directly to the bank. We have a very particular system that we go and we acquire all the information so we can work directly with the bank, and you can make the payments directly to the bank. That way you can ensure that your buyer is never in a bad position because you're making the payments.
And the seller says to you, well, no, I'm going to make my payment directly. I'm not going to let you make it. Here's the script. Well, I can appreciate that, Mr. Seller, but we have X amount of properties. In our case, we say we have 50 properties. And I am very committed to making sure my buyers are in the right security position in the property. And I can't be worrying about whether you made the payment on time. So I'm going to make the payment. If you want to have the same login or you want a proof of payment each time, great. But we're going to make the payment. That's the rules.
Yes, Michelle. Michelle asked the question if it includes taxes and insurance. Yes, it is PITF.
Yeah, we'll dive into the principle here when we get down to payday 3. Payment from your buyer.
3,200.
Okay, so what's the cash flow?
669.
All right, go full term. What do we have?
24,120.
$24,000 in cash flow for the full term. All right, so we bought the property, we sold it for a premium. How much did we increase it?
25,000.
And you gotta be laughing because you should have went higher, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and I've yelled at Russell. I couldn't tell you how many times about it. But this is, you learn. You live and you learn.
So
And it's
probably-
easy for me to pick on. So
When you yelled at him, what do you, it should have been like 899, right? Or at least eight.
I said if we sold for 860, there's no way you couldn't have sold for like at least 879.
Right, no difference in the buyer. No difference at that price range.
What I also was saying is we want to, if you increased it, of course, especially the way the market was trending in Southern California, you probably wouldn't have overshot it even if you did 899. But that's okay. We live and we learn.
We won't rub that in. We'll put some salt in the wound every 6 months and remind you of that.
Just next time, get with Nick again. Okay. Principal pay down on this. So out of the 2531, the principal interest tax insurance, how much are you getting directly off of principal from that payment?
777.
It's a good day. Triple digits. All right, let's do the full term.
27,972.
And it's slightly higher, guys, because I hope everybody knows amortizations, that's gonna creep up every month, but
Yeah, we have to have an average, or we usually use the starting one. So we get
Yeah, that was-
surprised at the end. Surprise, we got more.
Yeah, that was the first month. We're 2 years into the term.
oh, so
So
already, yeah.
Love it. Okay. Looks like we had a total deposit of 84K.
87,200.
87.2.
With,
Yeah, but the first month's rent isn't gonna come off the
oh, okay.
deposit.
84.
84, sorry.
Does everybody get that? I want to make sure we're not losing anyone. Zach's giving credit at the closing table of 84, but that 3,200 went into his pocket and they're not getting credit for that. They paid lease for that. You kept it. Just free money.
So tell us about the back end.
Well, it's
How much is it cash out?
it's gonna be a negative, right?
Yep. Negative what? Come on, Rusty.
So in other words, Rusty got paid ahead of time on this deal, which is a nice position to be in for security.
So I had the edit 87,200 as the negative, so I didn't calculate the 84.
Well, we just made you another $3,200.
Yeah. Come on. Anybody else have a calculator?
I think it comes out to about 31,000 negative for payday 3.
Okay.
Thank you.
Charlie comes out of left field. Love it.
Coming in hot.
All right, so you got 84,000 as your payday one, plus your monthly cash flow of 24,000, and then we get to subtract 31,000. What's our total?
It's 80,292,
292.
So that should have
80,
easily broke the
80,292.
You say 80?
Yeah, 80,292.
I just took away another. So we're back at square one. I took away 292. All right. So this is all really good stuff. So number one, a lease purchase agreement where he didn't put down any money. He had infinite return. Now we're picky and we're sitting here saying, all right, well, Russ is really coachable. We could have easily had a 6-figure deal if he increased the purchase price to like $899, which the market would be more than bearing at this point in time, which is a good $31,000 lesson. And Russell will now implement that and make a heck of a lot more money.
Actually, we're gonna hit that too on Brian's, because you live and learn. You're gonna, your paydays, your 3 payday package is gonna increase. And then you're gonna start adding 4 paydays. We'll show you how it's a different seminar.
Yeah, and just I'm not on the spot. You guys could go through hundreds of deals that I've been a part of and pick apart all the things that I could have done better too. I mean, that's just it's each and every one of us. Russell just happens to be on the spot right now.
I can take it.
Go ahead.
Questions?
Annalise,
Let's start with Annalisa. Go ahead, Annalisa.
Thanks so much and congratulations, Russell. Even
Yeah.
it's your first deal, right? I mean, it's awesome. So, yeah, so I did wonder if that was, if your buyers needed to qualify for a jumbo loan because of the amount that you sold your house for. And I know that's something that varies depending on which markets we're in. So,
Yeah, they definitely will. They'll probably have to come with 10% more once they, yeah, it's a.
right.
they'll
That's
probably
what
have
I
to
was
come
wondering.
10%.
That's exactly what I was wondering about, if they needed to come up with 20% instead of 10. And then I wondered if we put our buyers in the middle of the month instead of on the first, then we're dealing with a partial month. Do we do a prorated payment to the bank of the mortgage and the PITI, or do we just wait an additional that's plus the 30 days?
That's negotiable with the seller, Annalise, and it's a very good question, if I'm understanding, if I'm tracking with you. So on the buyer side, we like to take the half month and then the first month when we put the buyer in the home. As far as what we pay to the seller, negotiable. I think we've reimbursed half, haven't we usually? Yeah, we usually reimburse them and then we'll start the full payment that next month.
Okay, great, thank you.
Well, by the way, that's why you probably want to time it so it goes in the first of the month so that you pick up a whole first month's rent, not a half. It's okay either way, but I try to time it and it's less confusing for the first. Very good question.
Right.
Yeah, when you're doing a couple deals a month, timing, I typically wouldn't place anybody in the property halfway through the month. I would say that's been a lesson learned from us with our buyers. Those that need a house immediately tend not to be the best ones. I mean, unless the circumstances is very clear
And you
that
can
they're in
verify.
very good position, they're verified. But those of that have been in a rush, and I'll tell you this, and this isn't against anyone. If a buyer is crying at the closing table, I tend to take it as a bad sign. And that's just me out of desperation. It's not that it's happiness, because the buyers that haven't cried have got us to the finish line. The buyers that have cried, there's been some hiccups, and it's usually just because they have external situation or circumstances that we don't know about and they're not disclosing. And that's why they're so emotional.
Like they can be happy though. They don't.
I'm just telling you from my experience. Maybe not yours, but it's been mine. We'll have to verify from Nick.
But I agree with the urgency thing.
Yeah.
There's whenever there's urgency, we go, what's going on here? Why is there urgency?
Yeah, gratefulness is awesome. All right.
Coach Thompson's up.
Yeah, well, I wanted to point something out real quick, looking at Russ's deal. So when you look at the tenant buyer, when they go to actually get traditional financing, the difference between $860,000 purchase and $890,000 purchase is $147 a month increase in their PITI or their PI. So it's negligible when you're looking at that, when you're thinking about them at the end. So I just want to point that out.
Yeah. And searching wise, you're never going to have a different buyer.
Yeah.
You do. Thanks for putting some more salt in the wound,
Yeah.
Mike.
That's what I
Hey,
said.
Hey,
honey,
that's a
honey, can
learning
you give me some
moment.
salt?
Hey, we're just here to learn.
Throw some salt with that tequila. All right, Link. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
So again, to add some more salt, if it had been me or one of my students, I would have suggested, hey, why don't we raise the price and then increase the monthly? Mr. Customer, you're used to paying $10,000 a month. Let's cut it to $5,000 a month, and $1,800 a month can go to
He's
the
bumming
additional down
now.
payment. So I just cut their payment in half, and I'm getting an extra $1,800 a month in spread. Then that's the point is there's all kinds of ways you can go with these deals. That's really the point I wanted to make. That's a way that you can increase your spread instantly.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, it's a fantastic point, adding that additional down payment on the monthly.
You know, it's interesting. We're trying to keep this as basic as possible for sandwich leases. And even within sandwich leases, there's all kinds of ways to pivot. Wait till you sink your teeth into the higher end deals.
I love it. And just bringing back full circle, it's a nice $80,000 first deal sandwich lease in Southern California where nobody says you can do deals. I want everyone to know that.
And we're all poo-pooing our rush
Yeah,
to make an 80 grand deal.
he's like, I was volunteering to do a deal live, and you guys are showing me all the blind spots, which is it's exactly what your coach is for. Let's jump to Laura.
Hi.
Oh, sorry, you got muted accidentally. Try again.
Where'd she go?
No,
Still muted.
Well, we'll wait for her.
Ryan tried to spotlight you and accidentally muted you.
Oh, there
now
she
you're good.
Thanks, Brian. No, I was trying to figure out the -31, but somebody put it in the chat and I got it. So I was like, where was the missing number? So I got it.
Yeah, and
Awesome.
some of my students, that was part of what the takeaway they wanted to get out of this was how do you come up with payday 3? So if you could explain that, Zach.
Sure. So this deal obviously was front end loaded. He got more non-refundable deposit than he had available in the deal. So the way payday 3 is calculated is the premium that's left over. So he bought it for $835, sold it for $860. So if there's any additional premium left over, and the principal paydown. Make it even like a little bit more. Let's say he did sell it for, I don't know, 900,000 and he collected, so that'd be $65,000 increase and he only collected 25,000. Well, he still had $40,000 that he should be able to receive when it cashes out. It's just any additional premium left over between what you bought it for versus what you sold it for minus what you already collected. Super clear? All right, we're going to do another deal here in a second. Just in case you are not clear and we can get you even fuzzier, or it'll start clicking. I didn't say this at the beginning, and really that is, it literally took me, I don't know, it had to have been like 20 deals before I even started to see, without asking Chris and Nick, hey, how is this coming together? I just remember I couldn't fully grasp it either. And I did 20 deals up until then, but it was, obviously through help.
So a reminder, again, I keep saying if you're new, but it's for everyone. There's about 150 deals posted on YouTube. Would it behoove you perhaps maybe after this event to camp out and do like 1 a day, 2 a day, whatever you can fit in, and then ask us questions on the weekly sit down?
I'll give you the better route. And that is go into your academy that many of you are part of and go to Deal Structure Overtime. So that includes the entire YouTube video, plus at least 20 minutes of behind the scenes nuances where we dive into the deals even further inside that video. Grant.
Yes, and I know the numbers are right straight on the screen, but I am still struggling to understand which payday the extra first month rent shows up and where it's accounted for. I keep missing whether it's part of payday 3, it gets counted in there, or if it's part of payday 1, or if it's spread out over payday 2.
Well, I'm glad that you're pointing this out because it actually does not count inside the paydays. It's just extra tax flow.
Well, payday, it adds to payday 1, but it's just pure cash. It doesn't get subtracted anywhere. It's just payday 1,
That's what I meant.
bonus.
Okay. I think that's what's confusing me because we take out the deposit, but we don't take out that extra little bonus.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the buyer, Grant, paid that as their first lease payment for the month. Whether you paid a mortgage or not is not their business, right? It's your business, and you just put that in your pocket.
Awesome.
Because
Okay.
your payment's not due until 30 days after the buyer's in the property.
Now, if you don't want it when you do your first deal, I'll
send
give you
it
our
over.
wiring instructions.
Yeah, just send it over our way.
No, I love it. That's good. Thank you.
Of course. Great point. Someone's paying attention though.